let me tell you this story that has really moved me. As parents, we are never prepared to lose a child, and it would seem impossible for most of us to make sense of a loss like this. But when love for others moves you, and a strong desire that no father or mother have to go through the pain of losing a child, an immense pain can become the opportunity to save hundreds of lives. That is the case of Susan Frost. Her love as a mother spills over all of our sons and daughters by sharing the story of her beloved daughter, Alexa.
This is my daughter, Alexa. And from the moment she was born until the moment she left this land, she was adored. Loved not only by her family, but also by those on whose path she crossed. She was curious, playful, and intelligent. She was kind and caring. With a smile that lights up a conversation, lights up a room, and warms a heart. She loved books, especially books on spirituality, holistic living, books to help understand the injustice in the world and that she could find herself. Among her favorites were The Secret, Breakfast at Tiffany's, and the Victorian romances. Alexa had a devotion to animals, especially horses, and her 2 dogs. She spent time training and caring for them. She wrote diaries throughout her life with pages full of raw emotions, poetry, and delicate sketches. She was deeply sensitive and felt life intensely. At the beginning of her college years, Alexa excelled in her classes and earned her place on Dean's roster. Later, still in college, she met a friend, a young man who gave Alexa her first dose of heroin. "Just give it a try. What harm can it do to you?" And from that first use, our daughter became physically and mentally addicted to this drug. She desperately struggled to overcome the tremendous hold heroin had on her life. Every day was a battle for Alexa, as well as for us who loved her and had to see her suffer. We did everything we could. We would have given our lives for her. Despite the love and guidance given to her, the rehab, detox, and her perseverance, the heroin inevitably caught her and suffocated every dream and aspiration she had. Alexa died of an overdose on September 21st, 2017, after being 7 months free of any drugs. After this, Alexa gave the gift of life. 2 very special women have a second chance. One received Alexa's lungs and the other one received her liver. She had periods of times where she was heroin-free. During these times, she begged God to keep her clean, sought counseling, used comprehensive practices, and tried to maintain her focus on holistic, organic, and exercise life. Alexa described heroin as a very lonely drug that takes you away from every part of your life and leaves you hanging on the brink of death. This is Alexa's story, and I ask you to share it with your loved ones and friends, because the horrible stigma that many people have of heroin addicts needs to be dispelled. Our daughter was beautiful, intelligent, educated, and well-spoken. She was given every opportunity that a child should have. We are hardworking parents who have raised their children with morals and values. We are not addicts. We are normal people who have always given the best to our children. Alexa was not a street junkie. She worked from the age of 16 and stayed that way until a few months before her death. She was someone. She was our beloved daughter. And I will always wonder if there was anything we could have done differently. If this could happen to Alexa, then it can happen to anyone. It only takes a moment to become addicted to heroin. Just once. It is what it was for Alexa. She took heroin with no idea of the power it would have over her. Heroin is everywhere. Alexa first used it on her college campus while she was drinking, and her judgment was weakened. Your loved one could be offered heroin just like Alexa. He or she might try it and think that they're not going to get addicted, just like Alexa. You can be sure that if my precious daughter, who had the world at her feet, was able to become an heroin addict and die of an overdose, it can easily happen to your son or loved one too. That is why I formed the nonprofit Learn from Lexi Foundation on her behalf. After discovering just how big the heroin epidemic really is, and how little is being done to prevent addictions before it starts. When I wrote Lexi's story, I shared it with friends and family. Then I posted it on social media. I received an overwhelming number of messages from people around the world who had lost a son or loved one to a heroin overdose, like my daughter. As I read these messages and researched, I discovered that the number of deaths from heroin addiction is much higher than I could have imagined. Increasingly, our children and loved ones die every day at an astronomical rate. 90% of all addictions begin with experimentation in adolescence or early adulthood, usually after or along with alcohol and marijuana use. I strongly felt that more must be done to reach young people, parents, and loved ones. They must be warned about the power of heroin and the deadly consequences that can occur from its first use. The mission of this foundation is to save lives by preventing young people from taking heroin that first time. The epidemic of heroin addiction and death from it has been out of control for a long time. The number of addicts between the ages of 18 to 25 has doubled in the past decade. We will continue to lose our children and loved ones if we don't do something now. Our goal is to raise awareness of the consequences of heroin and avoid its use. We will carry this message to youth and families around the world. Prevention is the only answer. Please share our warning. Not even once. Thank you very much. Susan Frost Lemong, Alexa's mom.
We are all inhabitants of the same world.